Assets is one of the best things to pair with Jira Service Management. Let me show you exactly why. So to find assets, you just scroll over on your left sidebar, and if you have JSM, you'll have assets by default. This should be getting rolled out to everybody, whether or not you have JSM or not. And the kind of new version of this will be up to 50,000 free used assets. And after that, it's going to be paid on per consumption. But 50,000 is still pretty generous and at least gets your foot in the door to be able to do some pretty robust things without paying for any new functionality. So to get to our assets, we just click that sidebar item, or you can click the app dropdown on the top and go to all of your products, and it'll show up there. When you're here, you could skip over all of this stuff on the left sidebar. It's kind of useless. A lot of these new updates they make really just kind of flood it with the nicer to look at, more tutorial stuff. You could skip all of this. I really liked when the schemas were the homepage because this really just gave you what you were after, which was the assets themselves. And the way that this works is that assets are broken up into schemas, and then schemas are broken into object types. And then object types have individual objects in them. So let me pull up a good example of this. I think the people one is really good, right? And you could think of this as sort of a book or a folder, and each folder contains different sections in it, and each section contains each individual page. So in this case, people is kind of our high-level folder, and it stores all of our sections in it, in which case we have people, departments, roles, types. I don't know why we have animals in here, but we have animals in here, and we have all of our people-related things. And then when we click on one of these, each of these sections shows us each individual person. That's how this is structured, and it does make a lot of sense because if you go to a people schema, you don't want to necessarily just track individual people. Sometimes you want to track departments, different groups, different organizations that people are part of, and the associations are there, but you want some kind of categorization and bundling of those assets, which is what these object types are. So these are the objects right here on the right side for people. These are either called objects or you could call them individual assets. Doesn't really matter. That pretty much means the same thing. And the reason assets are so great is that it lets you sort of track things that you couldn't normally track in Jira, right? Things like people, things like hardware, physical assets, laptops, things like compute, resources, infrastructure, even software. We have some good examples in here where there's a lot of creative things that can be tracked. People, standards and practices, services, compute, applications, geographies, even facilities, right? Things that you wouldn't have as a Jira work item, because really the core concept of a work item in Jira is that it starts in a workflow and it ends in a workflow. So you start it, it's a to-do item, it goes in progress and it's completed and it's closed out and it goes away. That could be either a project or a task, whatever you want it to be. Whereas assets are a little bit more permanent. They're meant to kind of stay and to exist on a more permanent basis. Now, obviously things like hardware aren't permanent, but for example, a MacBook or a facility or a floor level, those things aren't typically going through their own process of, in progress, to do, completed, in review. Usually they just exist, and we want to track them in some way, which is what assets are really, really great for. Real quick, I've implemented Jira for over 200 companies. By far, the number one reason teams reach out to us is because they built what they thought was a great solution, only to realize that nobody actually ended up using it. And if that sounds familiar, that's exactly what we help you fix. We're currently taking on new projects 4 to 6 weeks out. And if you want help implementing Jira in a way that your team will actually use, hit the first link in the description below.